We've got a huge match on Thursday night against the Greeks. A win could be a massive boost for our World Cup qualification chances. A loss could be absolutely devastating. There's plenty to get talking about, so let's get stuck in. This is the No Scotland No Party podcast, supported by Ball Bags, official boxers of the men's national team. And if you'd like to get your hands on a £20 Ball Bags voucher, we'll be handing out one of those vouchers after the Belarus game. All you need to do is like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Spotify or Apple podcast channel, or engage in our socials. Just leave some messages, get in touch, and we'll be picking someone at random after the Belarus game. Right, let's go.
We know we ain't no football experts, but we all feel the same about the beautiful game. The game. No Scotland, no party. Podcast for the Tartan Army.
Okay, welcome everybody. Unfortunately, we don't have Craig with us today. He's coming back from Dublin at the moment. Oktoberfest last week in Dublin this week. The guy must get more air miles than Santa, I reckon. But we do have two resident foot soldiers with us. Hazel, how are you, Hazel?
I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to the game. Nervous, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. And Dave Watson, how are you going on, Dave?
Good, everything's fine. Good.
Cool. Right, so we have a couple of games coming up and we have a squad announcement. If we could just run through the squad just now. We've got in goals, Gunn, Gordon and Kelly. Defenders, Hanley, McKenna, Ralston, Robertson, Suter, Hendry, Tierney and Hickey. Christie, Gannon, Doe, Gilmer, McGinn, McLean, McTominay, Ferguson and Lennon Miller. In midfield, up front, Adams, Dykes, Bowie and Hurst. Now, at the end of the last podcast, I said I don't think we'll see many changes in the squad. I thought Dom Hyam might drop out. I didn't think Max Johnson would be out, and I'll be honest, I didn't see Gordon coming back in at the squad. But Dave, what are your initial thoughts on the squad? There's not really many big surprises, are there? It's pretty similar.
I mean, I think I agreed with you at the time that there wouldn't be a big change, and we were right. I agree with your comments, especially about Craig Gordon. I didn't expect him to come back, to be honest. I don't think there's a lot to say about the squad otherwise, and I think that Clark explained that he wanted to reduce the size of the squad a little bit, right? And he's done that. You go through it, and it's probably pretty much like you would have expected. If you were told he was going to name a 23-man squad, then probably this is what you would have expected. Whether it's what you or I or Hazel or other people would have done is another question, right? But in terms of what we would have expected Clark to do, I think it's pretty much what we would have expected. It's very consistent, going with the people who he trusts, who he knows, who served him well, and honestly did well in the last two games.
Yeah. What are your initial thoughts on the squad, Hazel? Any surprises?
No, I mean the usual. I was surprised at Kieran Tierney, to be honest, coming back. However, I do know that he limped off against for Celtic. So whether or not he's going to turn up, I have seen him hanging around Hampden. Whether that's a red herring, the fact he's there, and obviously Andy Robertson as well. We don't know whether he came off with quite a bad injury as well at the weekend. So again, is Andy Robertson going to start? Because I think we've talked last time about Andy Robertson starting, and then maybe if he gets too tired or he gets injured or whatever, that Kieran Tierney's a natural sort of substitution for him. So I was slightly worried about that. But yeah, the usual, I think, for me, I think that I wasn't surprised by the squad.
So Dave, you mentioned there that, there's a lot of familiar faces and he's going with the tried and tested. The three goalkeepers he's gone with, none of them have had a league game this season. We're kind of going down the Kieran Slicker route again here, aren't we?
Yeah.
I dread to say it. But it really looks like a squad that's been picked on his previous experiences with these guys, rather than form or how they're getting on in the league at the moment. It really is just kind of, I don't know, who he's picked before.
Yeah, it is. It's. I think it is. I think to be fair to Clark, right? So we were worried about the goalkeepers before the last two games, and Gunn was good, right? He did well, especially in the away game to Denmark. There's not a lot of competition, to be honest, from other people. The fact that you mentioned Slicker says something about it. And to be fair to him, as I say, they did well. Gunn did well in the last game, as did the rest of the squad. And the game against Greece is one of the most important games that we've played for a long time. It's one of Clark's big games. I've seen newspaper analysis of is it in the top 5 of games that Clark's been the manager of and so on. Doesn't really matter. The point is it's a critical game. If we win, we can be reasonably confident that we're going to get pretty confident we're going to get a playoff position at least.
Yeah.
If we don't win, even if it's a draw, I would say a draw is better than losing, but even a draw, and you start fearing that we're not quite going to make it. So the game's absolutely critical. So I think, with Clark's character and everything, he's going to go with what he knows. He just is, So he's going to, I think almost definitely, unless there's an injury or something, he's going to go with Gunn again, because it worked out the last 2 games, so go with him again.
Yeah. I think he might, but we'll see. So Hazel, it was maybe a couple of shows ago, Hazel, you referred to Kieran Tierney as biscuit hips, and so we've got no Doigan again, and we've got Robertson and Tierney. Neither of them seem to be capable of playing 90 minutes. Is it a risk just putting in 2 left backs in case one of them does get a knock or get injured, and then we're short and we don't have a left back for a full game?
I mean, we talked about this, I think, a few, before the Denmark game, didn't we? We said why Robertson and Kieran Tierney, and we talked about Josh Doig forever, and I thought he had a really good game, particularly his last game, I think, with against Liechtenstein. And then he was dropped, and then we all thought, well, why is that? Because of particularly with Andy Robertson not playing, he's a substitute at Liverpool, and obviously Kieran Tierney hasn't really kicked much of a ball at Celtic. And then suddenly, I think between all of that, we saw that Josh Doig coming in just literally before the Denmark game, and I thought, that's crazy. We've talked about this, and yet we've gone back to this again. So I don't really understand. And we've got Ralston in, and I'm thinking, I would rather have Doig than Ralston.
I think I don't know if you know, but for Brentford, Hickey's actually been playing a left back. He cannot. Left back. Sorry, he can't get into that team as a right back. So he's played the last 2 games. He's played his left. The game before that, he was dropped. He was on the bench completely. So unless Clark's got that in the back of his mind that maybe Hickey can go in the left there, Ralston can fit in the right.
Craig, I'm sure he does have that in his mind, and probably it's going to be okay, right? It probably is, but it's a bit. I think it's a bit weird if we've got 4 fullbacks in the squad, right? Of Ralston, Hickey, Robertson, and Tierney, and there are fitness doubts about all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly, right? So, I mean, and 3 of them. So I know Hickey managed 90 minutes for Brentford against Man City on Sunday, right? I think that's the first 90 minutes he's managed. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's the first.
I think he's managed 2.
Is he? Okay. Right. Thank you. So, but, there's fitness doubts about him. And, you could imagine that tomorrow suddenly Tierney gets injured in training or whatever, and then it looks fragile. So I'm a bit surprised. Having said I wasn't surprised by the squad, I'm a bit surprised that none of Doig or the other potential fullbacks. Yeah, exactly. So Max Johnson, for example, I'm surprised that neither of them was in.
Sorry, Dave. I think I might be. I think he might not have played 2. I think he might just have played 1 actually. Yeah,
I thought it was, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter. The point's just that there's fitness doubts about all 4.
Yeah, and if we're looking at omissions, one that you're looking at players who've been in previous squads, and you've got Nathan Patterson who's just not getting a game, and he was one of the guys we were desperate to see, and it's got to be time for him to find a new club, hasn't it? Because he's just stagnating down there. He really is.
People keep telling me he's injured. I don't think he is. I don't personally think he is. And so whatever is going on at Everton, who knows? But I would rather have a young guy. And the thing is, Hickey and Patterson play very well. I think I said a couple of podcasts back that Patterson went off injured a few years back against Ukraine, and Hickey came straight away and had a brilliant game against Ukraine. And so why wouldn't you have Patterson? I know people keep banging on about games, but then you've got younger guys who are probably fitter. If you're training every week, you're still fit, right? If you're older and you're injury prone, or you've got you're carrying an injury, then, you know, to my mind, you should be bringing the younger guys that could at least can do something, rather than, you know, it's a bit of a gamble. But then we know that Clark, he always goes for these key people. And interesting, Max Johnson. You talked about Max Johnson, Craig, but I wasn't that impressed with him against Belarus. I have to say, I was very worried about him, and I was actually worried. I think Dave saw me sort of crumbling to the ground when I thought it was going to be a red card in Copenhagen. If that sort of crumbled my face into my scarf at that point, because I thought he was only on a few minutes, and he already, we thought he's going to be sent off. But I thought he was very nervous against Belarus, and of all, you know, national teams to be not nervous, he was just making a lot of mistakes. So I'm wondering if, you know, Clark's tested out Johnston and thought, well, Denmark, he nearly got red carded, and Belarus, he
maybe,
I don't know. That's just my own thoughts, but again,
I think you're right, Hazel. You know, we did cover it in the last podcast. It looked like he was nervous, and there was a couple of times at the end. His final ball wasn't great. He'd one really good cross, it was the volley. But he seemed to lose a lot of confidence. And a couple of times he could have put the ball in, chose not to, decided to pull it back. And maybe you're right. I wonder if that came through in training. Clark saw that as well. But but he's gone for what he sees as a safe pair of hands in Ralston. And again, what you're saying here about some younger guys coming through, I think we do have a lot of young defenders. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll see them till Clark leaves, but I don't think we should be too worried about the fact that he keeps on playing these older guys. I think we do have a lot of younger ones coming through. Right, we'll move on to the midfielders. Now, the midfielders haven't changed. It's exactly the same 8 midfielders as the last one. And I was looking at it today, and I don't think there's really anyone in contention for breaking that, anyone to kind of come in there. Can you think of anyone? Maybe Luke McCowan, but I couldn't really think of anybody else.
People have been banging on about, is it Ollie Burney or Ollie?
But that's talking about forwards, though, right? So if you move to the forwards, you've got some choices, right? Because you've got Ollie McBurney, you've got Conway, right? Who's also doing what you've got Shankland, of course, right? And you've got Ollie Burke, right? And there's one other who's the one who's anyway. But you've got those four anyway, right? Who are all in contention, and but Burney, who I suppose we all turned against a few years ago when he had a few games for us, but honestly, he's scoring goals for Hull. He keeps scoring almost every week, and he's getting assists. So you've got honestly, I'm starting to revise my opinion and think we're going to have to bring him back into the squad.
9 games, he's got 6 goals and 4 assists.
I know it's good, but as you said, I don't think there's anyone that I wouldn't. I mean, Kenny McLean. Yes, people keep banging on about him, but I still think he does. I think he was good against Denmark. I thought he was pretty solid. You know, he's a seasoned guy in terms of having international experience. And you talking about this being a crucial game, I see this game as being a turning on 10 pence piece. This is the game like it was when we played Norway. This is the game that decides whether, I think personally, whether we get that playoff. Let's be honest, we're not going to win the group. I just can't see that happening. I think Denmark will start to pull away. I just can't see it. But I think this is like the Norway game where we knew whoever was going to win that game.
I agree. No, Hazel, you're definitely right. This is the pivotal game now. I agree.
So,
right, having got the point in Denmark, right? This is the pivotal game.
I think that's why he's gone back for the midfield. He's looked at Denmark, he's looked at the Belarus, and he's gone, okay, particularly Denmark. I'm going to kind of look at how I sort of played. I think he's going to have the same formation as he did against Denmark.
I think actually, Craig, I mean, the most interesting thing about the midfield is whether he's going to play one striker or two. Yes. And I know that sounds odd, right? But the point is, if you start with only one, and let's, for the sake of argument, say it's Adams as the striker, you can then have 5 midfielders, which gives space for Gilmour to come back probably, and you can play your Gilmour and Christie if you want, and then you probably sort of Ferguson or Gannon Doak. You argue who starts and so on. McGinn on the left, and you've got McTominay, and that's the key point with McTominay. In the Denmark game, if you start with two strikers, McTominay has to play further back, right? If you have one striker, McTominay can be coming, can be much further forwards, coming in really as a lot of the time the second striker. And frankly, I'd rather have McTominay coming through rather than Dykes coming through. So yeah, so to me, I'd be saying, instead of with the midfielders, instead of trying to pick four and pick a formation for four, I'm hoping that he's going to be saying, right, we're going to have one striker and then five midfielders, and who are the five? And again, planning who's going to come in later. So, Gannon Doak should get a game. It's just whether he starts or not, etc.
The thing for me is, though, we the last two occasions we played Greece, we played the 4-2-3-1, and we weren't great, let's be honest, especially in the second game, we know that. But the first game we were outplayed as well. But then against the Danes, he played the 4-4-2, and he did this against Liechtenstein as well. So it was a warm-up for that. So 2 out of the last 3 games, he's gone to the 4-4-2. And I'm just wondering, I mean, it's a bit more defensive. I'm wondering if he's going to open it up at home, or if he is going to go with that, and I can't make my mind up what he's going to do. I really can't.
That's a good argument. Sorry.
Yeah, I think he's going to... Sorry to interrupt.
No,
I think he's going to go 4-4-2, because, as I think I said, Denmark were 21st in the FIFA rankings. And I think I spoke to quite a few Danish fans on the way home, as you do. And one of the Danish supporters said, for you that was definitely a win, and for us that was a loss. And you played outstanding tonight, in my view, that we thought we would be able to run all over Scotland. And once again, you've come and proved that we're a real match, with these high FIFA ranking nations. So, but again, I just think he's going to go for that 4-4-2. That's just my view.
With Adams and Dykes starting.
Yes, I think so, and I think the physicality, because I'd love to see Kieran Bowie coming on, but again, he hasn't played. He hasn't really played anything, and you don't know how he's going to absorb that Greece pressure in terms of getting up there. But you sometimes have to throw the dice. You have to roll that dice and say, you can't wait to 85 minutes, and then put him on. You have to kind of decide. And hopefully we all think Steve Clarke's got many tactical plans up his sleeve. Sometimes we think he doesn't, but I think that the addition with Gannon Doak, we didn't have him during the 2 great games, and I think, Greece again. I'll say this. What I said against Denmark, I think they're going to be watching VTs of Gannon Doak, and I think that the fact we've got him working with the likes of McTominay, I'd love to see Scott being pushed up, as you say, Dave, because at Napoli he's been brought back further back at Napoli, and Højlund seems to be scoring 2 goals every game now, but it was McTominay before. And so he seems to have slipped back into a defence midfield rather than an attack midfield. So I hope that Clarke pushes him up, further up.
Well, he's been playing on the left quite a lot since De Bruyne came in. And I just, I think for Scotland, I prefer to see him coming through the middle. Maybe McGinn out there. But just looking at the the strikers, I've been banging on about Bowie. Get Bowie in the squad, give him some game time. I've been banging on and on and on about him, and I've just been a little bit disappointed with him since the beginning of the season. He was started the season absolutely great. He's got 3 goals and 7, which sounds okay, but 2 of them were against bottom 6 teams, and his assist was against the bottom 6 team as well. And I don't know if you saw him playing Edinburgh Derby the weekend, but he looked off it. There was one, the ball where Martin Boyle chipped the goal and hit the post. If an on-fire McCoyster Griffiths would have been in on top of that, Boyle was like 3-4 yards off it. Bowie was 2-3-4 yards off it, and was just a bit sluggish getting there, slow getting into the box. I just thought there's something not quite right here. So I don't know. I'm going to throw one out at you here. Robbie Ewer, playing in Sweden at the moment. He's got 11 goals and 26. and they're coming to the end of their season, so there's no question about whether he's on a game or not. You know, he's right in the thick of it at the moment. And I just wondered if that was maybe worth a gamble. Again, I love a player that can go on the last 10 minutes, and I just thought he might be that player that can go on in the last 10 minutes. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
I don't
I
know
don't-
about Robbie.
no.
I don't. I mean, I've been disappointed with George Hurst. I thought he would have. We talked up, you know, Ipswich Town. He was doing really well. He was scoring a lot of goals, and he, when he comes on for Scotland, I don't know whether he's nervous or he's just. It's a kind of bridge too far for him a little bit at the moment. But you can't keep rattling through the Adams and the Dykes, you know, because Dykes is not playing. You know, he's and if he can be injury prone as well. So we have to sort out some strikers. But that's not going to be in Clark's time. You know, and sad. Yeah, well, depends how people feel about Steve Clark, but his time is running out, I think. And we have to look at the future about who we want to kind of have as strikers. But I think he'll go for the same, i.e. Adams. And Dykes, certainly I preferred Dykes actually in the Denmark. I couldn't believe he missed that sitter. I mean, Dave and I were almost jumping on top of each other because we could have almost blown the ball into the back of the net. We were so close, weren't we, Dave? We were like, I just couldn't believe he missed that. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And anyone else that would be, I'll be honest, would have scored that. It was an open goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. He didn't know the defender was there, and he was just he was caught napping a bit, wasn't he?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think your question about Ewer, right? I mean, I don't know enough about him either. I've heard, you know, I've heard little things or seen little things on, you know, Twitter or whatever, but I don't know enough about him. It's obviously not relevant for this squad, and you know, I can't imagine him coming in for the November squad. To be honest with you, I'm with Hazel on that. Clark's not going to do it. I think, you know, we're now in danger of going into the, you know, the Clark method, if you like. But it's obvious, you know, when basically all of us are saying we've been a bit disappointed with Hurst and Bowie, you know, if it was us, I think we'd be experimenting with at least one of the four that I named a few minutes ago, right? And having one of them in the squad, you know, because they're on form, right? I mean, all of those other ones that I named are all on form. And Bowie's not really, as you just said, Craig, and I think that's right. And Hurst as well. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's not setting the world on fire. He's not, you know, whereas, you know, McBurney is, Ollie Burke is, for example. And I hear Conway's still going well, etc. So I think, you know, and Shankland obviously is, you know, again in the Edinburgh Derby, I thought Shankland looked a lot better than Bowie, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
But do we think Shankland is an international? This is a dollar question, and I work with a lot of Hearts fans, and they've all said to me, he's a great player for club, but to be honest, internationally, I don't think he. And we saw that during the Euros. I mean, he only had 22 minutes over Germany over the whole of the campaign in Germany.
In all fairness, Hazel, I think you could say that about Dykes and Adams as well.
True. But
and I think about this all becomes a bit of an academic discussion, really. But I mean, the only point I'm trying to make is on the bench on Thursday night. So let's assume we're starting with Adams and Dykes, so we start with one. But I take Hazel's point about probably start with two. If it's not going well, right, we're not winning, who would you rather have on the bench? Would you rather have Hurst, or would you rather have any of those other four that we've just said as options to bring on, like Shankland? Right?
Definitely.
I'd just rather have somebody who's in a better form to bring on. That's all.
And we saw this when I was in Georgia, and we played Georgia in November 2023, and we were losing. We were losing 2-1, and it was like 86 minutes, and we were all shooting. And he brought on Shankland, and of course he got the winner. And of course we all went berserk, which was ridiculous. We'd already qualified for Germany, but the fact it was an embarrassment. The fact we were 2-1 down against Georgia, but Georgia are a great side. You know, let's not take that away from them. But you're right. If he's given the ball, Shankland will absolutely put it away. There's no question.
Right then, let's move on to some predictions. Let's see what we think's going to happen.
So,
here.
Craig, I just want to check one
Oh, yeah.
quick thing, though, because you missed out central defence. Is that because you just assume it's going to be Suter and Hanley, right?
Yes.
Which is what I think. I'm just checking. Right?
Sorry.
Let's not talk about it, right?
Right.
I was trying not to talk about it.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's
I
fine.
know,
I'm agreeing with you, so we don't need to waste time with it. But
Sorry,
I'm just checking.
we did spend a lot of time the last one, and we all thought McKenna was going to start, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So I think.
Right, and I just for the record, in the last one after both games, I at least apologised for having got it wrong about Hanley, and I admitted they'd been brilliant against Denmark, and I was all wrong because I was very critical of him before.
And so was I, and I was eating. The fact I wasn't on it wasn't. I generally was eating a Hanley humble pie when he walked off against Denmark. I did clap him off.
But you know what? Even at that point, he wasn't starting for Hibs, but he has started now, and he's playing well.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. So
So let's not.
Tempt fate to whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's not big him up too much.
Sorry, Craig. Take us forward.
Right, go then. So predictions. Where are we with your predictions, Dave? Do you want to give us yours first?
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, let's 2-1 to Scotland. It's going to be a really tense game against Greece. It's there's going to be great moments and moments where we're all just shaking our head and stuff. But I think we might just do it 2-1.
Okay, Hazel, what do you think?
I'm going 1-1. I can't see us winning against Greece. I just can't. So yes, 1-1 for me.
I'm kind of swithering between 1-1 and 2-1. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet against them.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely lose one. But I'm going to jump on the positivity train, and I'm going to say we're going to win 2-1. I've been so negative in this campaign so far.
You were. I did say to you before the Denmark game, you said 3-0 to Denmark, and I laughed. I turned around to Dave during the game, and I said 3-0, and we both laughed. That was nearer the 90 minutes at that point, so we were confident.
Yeah, look, it's really hard to call, right? Because on this game, so we can say that about lots of games, but this game is really hard to call because honestly, we don't know what Scotland we're going to get. That's the first thing. How they're going to play. We've been good and we've been very unpredictable, right? Which is what I said prior to the Denmark game, right? And I still think that's the case. And Greece now seem unpredictable. Because Greece, having looked great against us in the second game at Hampden, and actually they probably deserve to win the first game in Athens as well back in March, right? All of a sudden, they play home to Denmark and they lose 3-0, right? So, Greece are unpredictable as well. And also with Karetsas perhaps being out, what does that mean for the Greek team and everything? And how they're feeling. So it's really hard to call. I mean, this game, we might win it comfortably by a couple of goals. They might beat us by a couple of goals. That's very hard to call.
I just hope it's not Vangelis and Chariots of Fire or.
Yeah, but it's gonna be. We're gonna win 2-1. And then afterwards, after the game in the next podcast, we can have a wee debate with Hazel about whether we can actually qualify by winning the group rather than only aiming for the playoffs. But let's see.
And what do we think about Belarus, guys?
Are we not going to do that in the next one?
Yeah, we'll do that. I think we'll cover that in the next podcast.
Good. Let's just hope in our hearts and our minds. I'd love for the positivity to keep going. Do you know what's funny? Before we end this, but the last few games, I have forgotten my Scotland scarf, which I've had since I was 15 years old, and I took it to Denmark with me, and I said to my dad, "I've washed this twice since it can't walk off on its own. It smells of Chanel perfume, but I deliberately had it on the whole time, and I held on to it, and I believe it gave me luck. I believe it gave Scotland luck. That was just my thought. It's crazy, right? But yeah.
Hope you're taking it up tomorrow night then.
It's ready at my case.
Right, good. All right.
Right, okay, right. We'll be back in a minute to wrap this up. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Okay, that's us. We will be back on Friday with a review of the Greece game, hopefully the Greece victory, and a preview of the Belarus game. And in the meantime, if you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please don't forget to subscribe, because if you do that, all the episodes get lined up for you. And if you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe as well. That just helps get our numbers up a wee bit. Right, until the next one, enjoy the game, gang. Take care. Come on, Scotland!
We know we ain't no football experts, but we all feel the same, the same, the same about the beautiful game, the game, the game.